Hi everybody, it's me, Heather again, of the Crafty channel, and Crafty on Instagram and Ravelry and everywhere else on the internet. And I had a whole different plan for what we were going to talk about today, what I was going to show you, but then this weekend has been an extreme cold warning, and it has been so cold, and I've been so thankful I'm a knitter and I have all these woolies with me to keep me warm, to keep Conan warm. So I thought I would amuse you guys, especially those of you in warmer climates. Thought I'd give you a little amusing demonstration of how I have to get dressed to go outside. And the thing is, of course, I mean, even apart from my job, which I go to weekdays, I can't not go outside on the weekends or come home from work and not go outside because little buddy has to pee and poop outside. He's not really interested in this sort of weather. He's not interested in walking and exercising and sniffing. It's purely bathroom time outside. And even then, last night we went out. He was supposed to do his business. He didn't go number 2. And then he wasn't even whining at that point. He was just crying. Poor little guy was so cold. He was wearing 2 sweaters and boots and everything. And so we just went back inside, which meant 5 o'clock this morning, when it was even colder than it was at 11 o'clock last night, we had to go out and he had to do his business then. So I'm not sure if he's learned his lesson. You learned your lesson? I don't think he has. But yeah, so we're going to talk about some Canadian weather and how you survive it. So I've lived in 3 different main areas across Canada. I've lived in Canada all my life. I was born and grew up for the first 20-something years of my life on the west coast, the southwest coast of Canada. Americans, that's your Pacific Northwest. And it didn't snow there. It would snow there sometimes. You'd get a couple of days of snow a year, but it was always like this much snow. And it rained a lot, especially in the winter. The winter was more about rain than snow. Like rain and damp and chilly, but not cold. And then I moved from there to Calgary, Alberta, where I experienced my first proper winter with snow and a river that freezes and minus 30 and wind chill, and it was terrible. But I got used to it. I lived there for 10 years or so. I really realized why I was knitting at that point. Because I had started knitting in Victoria, and I think at that point I'd only made accessories. And then Calgary I started making sweaters and larger, more practical accessories. And then recently, as I mentioned in a previous video, I believe, 2.5 years ago, I moved here to Toronto. So I've just slowly been hopping east in my Canadian geography. So it is warmer here in Toronto than it is in Calgary. I mean, the average winter low is a couple degrees higher here in Toronto, but we still, I mean, that's the average, right? So you still get some of those super nasty days, and there's so much snow on the ground. I mean, there's not so much, but there's snow on the ground right now. We haven't had a proper snow covering all winter yet. It's been minus 30, minus 32 with the wind chill. And this is when you're thankful for knits. So these are all the layers that I have to put on to go out to walk El Dogo. And so this means that getting ready to go out for a walk takes like 10-15 minutes, because I have to bundle myself up, I have to bundle him up, just so we survive and we don't die outside. And if it takes 15 minutes to get dressed, it's so cold and nasty outside that he doesn't want to be out there for more than about 2 minutes. And then we have to come in and take all the layers off, and so it's a rigmarole, but that's just what you have to do. So, base layer. I don't own long underwear. I used to when I skied. I haven't skied since I was a teenager. Yeah, so I don't have that. This sweater, this shirt, is one of those Icebreaker Merino, so it's a very thin thin, warm, cozy merino layer. I'm just wearing regular running or gym leggings. I say that like I go to the gym. I don't. These are what I wear around the house on the weekends. Comfy stretchy pants. And so like this under my jacket is fine when you're in like the high, just below 0, -2, -3, it's fine. Put some boots on, put my jacket on, go for a walk. That's a proper walk. But now when it's so cold, I have the leggings. I have another pair of pants. These are slightly looser, slightly wide-legged, so they can go over the leggings. Lined yoga pants, or just lined pants from Lululemon. So those go on. And then over this merino layer, I put this. Okay, the dog's on the sweater right now, so we're gonna go to accessories and see if he moves. You need a hat. You need a hat, or I think you need a hat, that has the double layer. Thank you for moving. Thank you. This one is especially warm because the Fair Isle sort of makes 2 layers between the knit layer and the, oh no, that's mine. The knit layer and the float layer. This yarn is Gale's art that I bought at Rhinebeck 2017. That was the second time I went to Rhinebeck. All the links to the patterns and everything will be down below in the notes on YouTube, and you can find all the information. I'm pretty good about updating my Ravelry with everything I've done. Good boy, you stayed there. Now that the dog is not on the sweater anymore, the sweater. So this is a sweater I knit out of Cascade 220. It's sort of kind of appropriate how it's kind of snowy at the bottom. I think I bought the purple on purpose to make a sweater, and then I think the white was just something I had, or another color of Cascade 220 I had around that I thought would look nice. So it's a worsted weight, it's Cascade 220, it's really, really warm. I really only wear it on days like this because otherwise it's just too hot, because you need to wear something under it, because it's not, I mean, I don't find it next to skin nice. So yeah, between wearing something under it and this giant sweater, it's an extreme cold warning emergency sweater only. So now I'll put this on. Okay, so now I've got the second layer on. I'm wearing 2 pairs of pants, 2 layers of wool. This sweater is the Katie sweater by OomieKnits. It has thumb holes. Well, it has this thumb hole. And then somehow, this was my mistake, I put the thumb holes on the same side of the sleeve. So I have a thumb hole and a pinky hole, or it's a little uncomfortable. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but you can twist it around, but that was my mistake. That was not the pattern. I honestly don't use these, at least not when I'm wearing this, for winter layering outside. Hi. And the hat pattern is Northport by Amy Miller. Yeah, the yarn was leftovers from the scarf I'm going to show you, and I just had fun. I changed up every row, or every band. I changed all the different greens and the blues just to make it interesting for me. So, 2 layers. Next, I already got the hat. Next, you need a giant scarf. Now, I'm not going to put my coat on yet because I will just overheat. Because the thing about my apartment is there's cast iron radiators, so the heat is either off or broiling you. And even when I don't have my heaters on, the heaters in the rest of the building, because I'm on a higher floor, the heat rises, the heaters in the hallways are on full blast, my neighbor's heat, I assume, is on full blast. I don't need to turn my heater on, and it's still too hot in here. So the coat is not going to happen just yet. But the scarf I've been wearing recently is this one. I bought the yarn. Again, this is more of this yarn. I bought the yarn at Rhinebeck 2017 from Gale's Art. I bought a gradient kit and then 2 skeins of this solid, lovely goldy yellow. And this is the first point of Libra shawl. I saw it on Round the Twist with Karen on her podcast and really wanted to knit it. And so that was a goal I made going into Rhinebeck, was find yarn for that pattern, and I did, which was really exciting, and I felt good to be able to actually go in with a plan and buy yarn for the plan. So yeah, this is nice and big. I think, oh yeah, I'm remembering all these details as I think about it. The mini skein set I bought had 6 colors in it. I think the pattern was only for 5, but I decided I wanted a big shawl anyway, so instead of doing the calculations and taking rows out, I just made it 1 color bigger. It's getting warm. I just made it 1 color bigger, which is really nice. And I like to have the bandana part, like this part, in the front, and then wrap it tight around your neck. When it's not this cold, I do that under my jacket. When it's this cold, I do it over my jacket. The other scarf I haven't worn yet, although I might today because it's gone colder, is this one. This one's an Ambah O-Brien pattern that used 3 full skeins of sock yarn. So it's huge. There's lots of scarf to wrap up in. Can wrap you in it? Yeah. So it's 3 full skeins of sock yarn. That's a lot of wool to keep you warm. Oh, baby. But yeah, so that's the Cardinia wrap by Ambah O-Brien. Oh, Mister likes that. Oh, you're so cute. And then the secret are the mittens. So these are Fiddlehead mittens that I knit ages ago. Could it be 10 years? It might be 10 years for these mittens. So the Fiddleheads, you basically knit 4 mittens, because each mitten has a liner that is just another mitten knit inside of it. And these will pretty much stand up on their own. Magic trick. Ta-da! So that's how thick these guys are, which means that's how warm these guys are. It's like wearing oven mitts. If I need to do it with my zipper, I have to take them off. Anything like that, reach into a pocket, I have to take them off. But you are so warm and cozy that it's worth it. The winter wind does not get through these. I did make myself a pair of thrummed mittens. They probably still exist in my knit basket, but I really like these guys. I find, and like the thrums are super cushy and warm because that's where you have little twists of raw wool, not raw, but washed wool knit into the fabric, and so it's all like puffy and kind of like shearling inside. But I find my fingers start fiddling with those, and they catch on all the dry bits on your fingers that you get because it's winter. I just don't want to disturb him. He's so cute. They're such a good knit model. Yeah. But yeah, so then all that plus a coat. I have 2 winter coats. One is black and puffy, and it's not down filled, it's wool filled. It's a Icebreaker Merino puffer jacket that's filled with the leftover ends of the merino instead of down. That is really warm, but it doesn't have a good hood, and it's a black puffy jacket, and you wear those jackets for so long all winter, and everyone else is wearing a black puffy jacket that it feels like you're just walking in a sea of identical people. So I have a wool jacket that I'll show you in a minute. Sort of woolly, it's London fog, it's nothing fancy, but it's wool, it's lined, and once you layer up with all these layers and the scarves and the hat and everything, it keeps me just as warm. And it's bright blue, so I feel a little less drab in the winter. I was gonna put his sweaters on to show you, but it's just the sweetest little thing. Must be cold if he's putting up with this. Maybe I should finally crank our heater up. But we're gonna have to go out at some point, so I'll take some video then. But Conan's outfit in the winter, he has this little sweater, which is made of sort of a blue tweedy yarn. I think there must be some mohair or something in it, because there's these long, it's sort of got a bit of a halo, and it's bright blue with some flecks of sort of orange and yellow and turquoise. This was not made for Conan, and I did not make this. My mum made this little sweater. Oh, it's got a little ripped chest. My mum made this sweater for the dog we had as a family when I was a child. I think we got him when I was 8 or 9, and I think he was 15 or so, 14 or 15 years old when he died, after I'd moved out. But Mum knit this for him, Finley. He was a Westie, a West Highland White Terrier, and a bit bigger than Conan. But the sweater was always a little bit tight on chubby Finley. But it fits Conan really nicely. It's the right length, it doesn't interfere with his little curly tail. His legs fit in the most important part, it fits over his giant head and neck. I just want to cuddle him. So this is Conan's winter wear on cold days. Because this weekend has been so nasty, I put a second sweater over that sweater. So this one is store-bought. It was a gift from a lovely neighbor to welcome us to the building. We had this, she's since moved out, but we had this lovely neighbor who just loves pugs and loved Conan. And yeah, this is a Canada Pooch sweater. So I think the outside, it's probably some sort of cotton nylon, cotton polyester knit. And then the inside is fleece. So it's nice and cozy. It's got this nice zip funnel neck, which goes over a giant pug head and neck very well. And then it buttons under his belly. It's a little bit big for him now, because he's lost a pound or two. And when you only weigh 18 pounds now, losing a pound is a lot of your body weight. So it's a little bit big for him now, but it's the perfect size when I put it over this sweater. So then he's all wrapped up in wool and fleece and his little booties. And he still hates it. And I feel so bad because his legs are still sticking out. He's got little boots. And the sweater goes to like there. And so this much of his leg is still out in the cold. And of course his belly's still out in the cold. Because there's only so much you can cover that, because he has to do his stuff. And his poor little butt is out. Hey, bud. He doesn't like hats. You see some dogs wearing hats or coats with hoods. That will not happen. So his poor little head and nose and everything are out. Yeah. I know, you just want to wrap up in a nice, soft, superwash merino knit. 3 different skeins of yarn. Exclusive skeins of yarn. So I bought the speckledy one on a road trip through Montana. It's Western Sky Knits. This blue was an SSK special colorway from another Crafty girl. That was New Friends and Happy Tears. And then the gray, I think that came from the Cookie. One year I was in the Cookie Sock Club, and it came with a pattern and the yarn, but I ended up using it as a neutral color to tie these 2 skeins together. Yes. Do you want to go out? You put on sweater number 1? What was it? Good boy. Good boy. Let me get your little toes. Where's your other little foot? Big yawn. Yes, good boy. Then we need this. And it goes click. And then we need this. Now let's do the boots. Let's do boots next. Yeah, let's do boots. Don't want you getting too hot in 2 sweaters indoors. Yeah? one boot. This one's come unlaced, bud. I haven't. There we go. Second boot. We got little doggy toes. Little doggy toes. We have to put them all the way in the boot, bud. You gonna help? How do we do it up tight? Tight. Good boy. Then we have this boot. And we do that. Good boy. Yeah, we stick those little boots on. Your little tiny feet. You got little tiny feet. Last one. These are triple extra small, bud. Triple X. For such tiny toes. Tiny toes. Good boy. Look at that. And then we put this on. And then you're a fat little sausage. You're a fat little sausage. We do one button. And then we do the other button. Oh, you're too fat for this button? Oh no, there we go. Take it. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. Are you ready to brave the adventure outside? Brave the outside world? Yeah. Mummy's gonna have to carry you down the stairs, isn't she? You got your winter boots on? Do you want that? You want it? Go get it. Take it. Good boy. You ready for minus 24? Are you ready for minus 24? Go on in. Come here. Oh. I'm sorry, I don't actually have a treat. I just wanted you to walk toward me. You come here. Come here. Okay, Mommy, carry you. What you barking at, bud?